Hello, hello, everybody. I'm back. Sorry about earlier. I had an important phone call and an errand, a surprise, impromptu errand to run, but I'm back. And as I was driving, I saw that tariff war is reigniting, and I just want to talk and get out there with the people and see what the real people feel about prices of stuff. Do you feel like things are going up, or do you feel like this is just okay? This is it could be a me thing, but for me personally, sometimes I feel like a lot of the stuff is just like some of the companies looking for an excuse to raise prices. I don't know. It just seems like that a lot of times. Let's see, what did I see today? I wanna talk about I guess yesterday it was yesterday. We were at, the dollar store, and you know what's crazy is that times are bad when the dollar store goes out of business, because this dollar store was a dollar store, and it went out of business, and now it is no, I'm sorry, it was a 99-cent store, and then it went out of business, and then the dollar store bought the 99-cent store and reopened it. And every year around this time or around the seasonal holidays, we go in there and we kind of get stuff for to make goodie bags for my kids' classroom. And school's coming to an end here, and we want to make some like kind of like send off gifts for the kids. And so we needed to get like just some knickknacks and whatnot, right? And so we go to the toy section, and we're just trying to figure out, like, what would we put in the goodie bags, and we needed about 20 of the just 20 things, maybe, like, 2 items, 20 things, and we're just looking at it, the toy section in the dollar store, and we were like, "The selection is crap." And we're like, "Where are we supposed to get these kits?" Like, and we're like and then the whole time my wife is like, "We don't have anything." Right, it seems dire, and then it got me thinking, I'm, like, really looking around the dollar store now, right, I'm just looking around, and I noticed, like, it did seem like the shelves were a little bit, uh, less stocked than normal, and the stuff they had was not that great, and then they had, like, these pump, water guns, like, the cheap pump water guns, but inside was, like, this oily lube that they had inside the water gun, and we're like it was bad. So we ended up getting, 20 of those, like, ball catchy things. You know what I'm talking about? Where they have the little pad and it's like a little, like, ball and you catch it with your the little pad. So we got 20 of those and we didn't get anything else. But yeah, and the other thing I noticed in the dollar store is that they didn't have any, groceries, and okay, I have to say, if you're getting groceries from the dollar store, times are tough. You know what I mean? But, I just that's an observation that I had. I was like, "Oh, they didn't have groceries in here at the dollar store." I think that's a crazy thing too. There's a difference between, shopping at the dollar store to look for cheap things and shopping at the dollar store, out of necessity. I just wanna, throw that out there. But yeah, I thought that that was very interesting that the dollar store looked dire. You know? I was like, "Oh, man, they don't have anything in here." And then, there's the whole thing with the iPhones, Trump, is going after iPhones, he wants them made here. Very interesting. We'll see if that really happens because, well, I think I mentioned this a few times, I just don't see that happening. Because if you actually think about Apple themselves, I don't think they actually make any of things. Don't they, like, subsidize all these projects out to other companies? Like Foxconn, you know, Foxconn, the company that's famous for having, this the nets. I Okay, YouTube, I have to say, I hate the fact that there are, like, words that you cannot say on YouTube. Like, I it's, like, the most ridiculous thing. We're I can't say the kinda nets that they have around Foxconn, but if I say that they have nets around Foxconn, if you guys don't know, Foxconn is the company that's, in charge of assembling, a lot of electronics. They do, like, the grunt work of assembling electronics, and they have these nets, outside their office to stop people from taking a big leap. And, yeah, so I don't know, someone can educate me on this as well. I thought that Apple themselves don't do a lot of manufacturing. They subsidize all these out to, like, with contracts to these other companies that do it. So, that's something I'm kinda curious about when they keep talking about trying to bring, iPhone production into the States. Right no no right now, I guess the I in iPhone stands for India, and, Mr. Trumpy does not want the I in iPhones to stand for India, he wants it to stand for Ohio. I don't know. No, Idaho. I'm trying to think of a state that starts with an I, and I don't know, Ohio was the first thing that I was thinking about when I meant Idaho. Um, yeah, so I just wanna see, like, is anyone else feeling prices go up, as in, like, it's actually going up, or do you feel like? Because for me personally, sometimes I like I feel like a lot of times it's like, the companies are just gougy, you know what I mean? Because I think even Trump kinda mentioned this too when they first, reestablished, um, the China tariffs to 30%, which is 10% more than what it was before. If you guys don't know, it was originally at 20%. It's been like that for, like, multiple years, and so they basically raised it to another 10%, so it's at 30%. And have I talked about this before? Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But in the past, one of the things, I swear the easiest way to get around this was to, and I'm not spilling anything new. This is common practice with a lot of, uh, importers, is that they would just have the factory or whoever over there mess with the invoice and, just lower it down, this and just say, "Oh, you got these items on a special sale." That's what's always been done before, and literally, that's what they're gonna do, and it will be exactly the same. So for them to say that, "Oh, the tariffs, and we're gonna increase the prices and whatnot, that's why we're charging you more." As someone that has done importing before and have lots of friends that are in that realm, I feel like that's such an excuse. You know what I mean? Because okay, let me break it down for you. I'm telling you, they still do this. It's the easiest way to get it done. But maybe I don't know. Maybe things have changed because it has been a few years since I've imported a lot of like big stuff. But in the past, what would happen is let's just say you had uh, something that is $1, right? That it costs you to import it in. Like it No, what I mean is it costs you a dollar to make from a factory in China. What would happen in the past is that you pay the tariffs when it, gets on the ship and starts coming over. You pay the tariffs on the value of the good that you bought it, right? So what in the past, what a lot of people did was, let's say it cost you $1, the factory would actually just change the invoice to say it's 80 cents instead of $1 or 70 cents instead of $1. Right, even though you've most likely paid them $1, or what they'll do is that you still pay them 70 cents, and then you pay them the difference another way. That's what a lot of people did before, uh, It's just they couldn't do it when, the tariffs were supposedly, like, 100 something percent because it didn't make any sense for you to do that kind of discount. But since it's at 30% now with China, they could easily go back to doing that. And so that's why I'm kind of curious to say, like, did the prices really change at all, or are companies using this as an excuse to just gain a few extra bucks and say that prices are going up? Are prices really going up, or people just saying they're going up so they can charge more? Because that's happened a lot, in the past. Just think about like I want to say, just think about like toilet paper. During the pandemic, I personally didn't feel like there was a real shortage of toilet paper. Um, it was more like people just buying all of it, and then the shipments were slow to come out, and then so it felt like there was a shortage, but there wasn't a shortage. It I don't know. At least you guys can someone out there can contest that the stores actually run out of toilet paper. Because when I went to go get toilet paper or whatever, it didn't feel that way. Like, my wife was going crazy, like, "Hey, we should stock up," and I was like, "Really? I think we can survive with what we have, and if we run out, just, get creative," Like, it didn't seem like it was necessary to, like they were like people were, like, raising the price of toilet paper, like, a gajillion times, and I was thinking, like, it didn't seem like that was that necessary, um, and then, like, it just seemed like they were just raising the prices just to raise prices, and then the prices never went back down, It was almost just insane. It didn't feel like there was an actual shortage, and, I don't know, I just feel that way now, even though I know there's gonna be you're gonna feel, I think I mentioned this a few times, right? Ships, come over cargo ships come over every day, every week, wherever there was a big pause, so you're gonna see, uh, the shelves dwindle a little bit, so we'll see how long that carries out, but I just wanna get some feedback from other people out of my area, and see, do they feel like, the prices hit them harder, yes or no? I think that's what I really wanna gain out of today, or at least this stream. Because, like, what's interesting too is I think a while back I was talking about, gas prices, right? And at least in my area, I felt like, it's been about the same since it's always been. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't change that much, and then so I posted some kind of video talking about it, and then some guy commented and said, like, "Prices went down. Gas went down." I'm like, "Okay, that's great. It may have went down in your area, but not my area." So that's the other reason I wanted to, like, see if it's out there if gas prices really go down in your area. Because like, the media reports one thing, but people actually around, like, whoever can actually say it for real. "Oh, I'm in this state, gas did go down," you know? Because, like, at least where I am okay, I'm in California. But you know what's also crazy? I saw this thing, they were talking about how, uh California is one of the leaders in kind of moving into, like, electric cars, and they were saying that they wanna change the California itself is running out of money, I guess, to maintain the roads. I don't know if this is real or not. I gotta actually look this up later. Running out of money to maintain the roads because more people have electric cars, and they do not buy gas as much, because they have an electric car. And so the gas tax money is going down, and supposedly the tax that you pay at the pump is the money that they use to maintain the roads. you know? And so I'm kinda curious to see what's everyone's thoughts on that as and so what they wanna do is they wanna change, um, they supposedly, this is what they said, they're gonna replace the gas tax at the pump. So technically your gas is gonna go down. The cost of gas is gonna go down, but they wanna start charging people per mile, um, to kind of, like, get money back into the state system so they could have money to fix the roads, and I was thinking, like, I just drove around like crazy all over right now, and there were gajillion potholes, right? And so you're saying with the system now they had, and some of these potholes have been there forever. And I drove through an area yesterday that I used to drive through all the time, but I haven't been through in a while. And I was going through there and I was like telling my wife, I was like, hey, have the roads here always been this crappy? Because I'm a little more sensitive about the roads now because I recently got my tires realigned and I had and then like they were telling me, oh, it's misaligned again. I was like, dude, I just came here like a month ago to align my to get my wheels aligned, and then you're saying that it's off again, and they're like, oh yeah, you gotta keep realigning them, and I was like, this is bull crap, and then they're saying, yeah, if you run into like potholes and city roads, you gotta get them aligned more. And then so I'm a little more like, ugh, about when I go through an area that has crappy roads. And then so I was telling her, I was like, what's crazy is that she's like, yeah, this area has always had bad roads. And I was thinking to myself, it's been like 20 years, right? I've, um, I've been driving on that road and it's been 20 years. And she's saying it's always been that way. And I was like, that's crazy that in like 20 years, they've never fixed this road. And so the excuse that they're saying right now is that they're running out of money, they don't have money to fix the roads with the current system. But I was thinking like, well, you were never fixing the roads with, the money that you've gotten, right? So why are you using that as an excuse right now to raise this per mile tax? And I I don't even know how they're gonna calculate that. How are they gonna determine how many miles you drive? That's I don't know. I guess every year you're supposed to tell them what your start and what you end with, but then who's really checking? They don't have money to check anything. Um, oh, I guess this is, I guess, another segue. Did you file your taxes? 'Cause, I know we're pretty far along now, but there was a big movement for people to not pay their taxes. Uh, so we'll see. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. Does anyone actually feel like the prices of stuff is really going up? Maybe has someone has firsthand knowledge. I'm reading this thing right now, and it's talking about U.S. beef prices are supposedly gonna go up because the cost of feed and transportation and all this other jazz has gone up, so they have to increase the prices. So I'm like wondering, someone out there, if you know anyone that actually works in, uh, you know, farming or whatever, and actually has firsthand knowledge, not reporter media stuff, firsthand knowledge, and hopefully you're trustworthy. Okay, we're all gonna trust you at your word. I just want to see if someone out there that knows someone that actually works in agriculture. Honestly, do you feel like the prices of stuff going up, supposedly fuel and all that stuff going up, really affecting you raising your prices, or are you just raising your prices because you see that everyone else is raising their prices and this is a good time to just raise prices? Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. And it could be any industry because uh, it, it's just like sometimes you see the news, like, for example, during the pandemic, right? And I keep bringing up the pandemic because in a way it is a good case study on human behavior, right? There were a lot of companies that didn't do very well, right? Saying that they were having a lot of issues, but there were some companies during the pandemic that just blossomed, right? And the biggest ones were on time online retailers. And, I'm involved in that space a little bit, and I would say the pandemic was an amazing time, because prices on everything were going up because of supply shortages, right? But at least at the company that I was working for, we didn't feel any supply shortages. We had no problem getting any supplies, and they just raised the prices on everything, and they were selling more than right? And then it was like, "Oh," and then, afterwards, prices just stayed what they were, even though supposedly the shortages, uh, in a way went away, you know? So that's why I'm kinda curious to see, do you actually feel like there's shortages, or are people just saying there's shortages so they could raise the prices on stuff? Um, yeah. Any industry, I just wanna see if anyone knows anything like, on the ground about that in their particular field. What else is going on in the world? Oh, I guess the other thing I found that was interesting, yesterday, I started talking about this in a video yesterday, today actually, but I got distracted. Was today I went to it was yesterday, I went to a, yard sale, and what's very interesting about going to a yard sale, well, this was an estate sale, which is when somebody usually in estate sales, when somebody passes away and a survivor or relative, wants to just get rid of all the stuff that's inside the property so they can get ready to get rid of it. And they hire a company to do it, and that's what an estate sale usually is. And so we went to this estate sale, and I want to say this is one of the biggest estate sales that I've gone to. That's not like a celebrity or anything, just like a regular person. And so this estate sale, I want to paint the picture. I'm in California. This property was probably, I want to say, point 0.6 or point 0.7 of an acre. It was a very big property, and the whole front lawn and yeah, front way was filled with tables of stuff, and then there's like a area for an RV that was filled with tables, and then there's like a little courtyard that they had that was filled with stuff, and then they had a back detached garage workshop area, and that was filled with tables, and then they had steps that you go downstairs into another area that was filled with stuff, and then that was their backyard. Like, you go downstairs, there's the courtyard, you go downstairs, and they had a backyard, and it was all filled with tables and stuff. And what's very interesting about a garage sale, I mean, an estate sale, with a yard or a garage, is that you really get a glimpse of a person's life because they kinda, like, show everything. And I wanna say this person must be super old because they have a lot of old stuff, and a super nerd with lots either they're super nerd with lots of kids, because in the front yard of this estate sale, they had a table, 2 no, 3 tables, sorry, of game consoles, and it ranged from an old school Atari all the way up to the newest Xbox, and all the versions in between. They had multiple Wiis. They had a table filled with Xboxes, and I was telling my wife, I was like, "Why would a person need to have" where they must have had, like, 6 or 7 Xboxes. I couldn't tell that if they were all the same or they're all different models or whatnot, but they had 6 or so different Xboxes, 3 Wiis, uh, old school, Sega Genesis, an Atari. They had the controller, but I didn't see the actual Atari system itself. If they had the actual Atari system, I would have bought that and maybe tried to resell it or something. But yeah, they had that. They had some old pins, a bunch of cookie jars, and stuffed animals, and DVDs, and knickknacks and stuff like that. And it was crazy because it felt like you were living this person's life, and we don't know anything about them. It just felt like you're getting a glimpse into this person's life, and as we're walking through, we're trying to figure out what kind of person this person is, right? And so, I'm thinking, okay, they must have multiple kids. Probably, I want to say, this person must have like at least four kids or so, right? Boys and girls mixed, probably, because I saw some like dollies. And then, yeah, it's just so fascinating, I think, to go through an estate sale and just kind of like figure out what this person's life is. Why I bring up the estate sale is kind of like the prices, because everything, you guys have never been to an estate sale, it's run by a company, and so the company usually does not haggle at all. They, their job is to get the maximum amount out, as opposed to a garage sale, where it's usually someone could fight with me on this. I feel like it's best to go to a garage sale or yard sale at the end of the day when they're more desperate to offload. My wife would say it's better to go early because they have more stuff, and sometimes you're more willing to part with stuff in the beginning of the day because you haven't sold anything yet, and you just want to get some dollars in. So I don't know. Someone out there can fight with me on this. I feel like it's better to go to the garage sale at the end when they are tired and desperate to get rid of the stuff, and you go around and you pull the whole like white fruit on them, and you're like, "I'll give you $1 for it," and you throw it away. And they're like, "What? Really? You give me $1 for this? This thing I bought it for like $200." Like, yeah, you bought it for $200, or you could throw it away. At least you get $1 for it. And they're like, "Oh." Or you can like my wife, and she likes to go early, and she's like, "Oh, you bought that thing for 200 bucks. I'll give you 10 bucks for it." At least you get some money in, and you know that, uh, because, sometimes you set up a garage sale and you get like $0. Maybe you have too much clothes. Okay, if you're buying clothes from a garage sale, I don't know. I feel like that's completely unnecessary. But to each his own. Um, yeah, so like at least you get some dollars then, and so like, "Oh, I'll give you 10 bucks for that." And they're like, "Oh, okay, fine, whatever, 10 bucks." So at least you get something, and they have more stuff. So I don't know. Well, we should get something for $4. Oh, but you know what's also different about in the States, though? Since they have everything out there and it's run by a company that's really trying to sell things as quickly as possible, but at the same time not haggling with you. What I found was very interesting this time, though, and maybe I'm just late to the party, is that there were Gajillion people with their phones out and using like Google Lens or whatever, and they're just taking pictures of everything and doing it quickly. Google Lens, it can quickly search the internet with a picture, and people were just taking pictures of everything. And that's what it felt like. It was literally felt like everyone was treasure hunting to resell at this estate sale, because literally everyone had their phones out, or at least they were trying to be sneaky about it. They had their phones out, and they're just taking pictures and stuff and Googling the image, and just trying to see. Like, I remember there was a lady, and she spent like the whole time. This person, whoever passed away here at this estate sale, had a whole section of cookie jars. And did you guys use cookie jars? I, growing up, never used cookie jars. I don't. to see the purpose of a cookie jar. But whoever passed away and left us these cookie jars at this estate sale had 2 tables of cookie jars, all kinds different kinds of cookie jars. And the only thing that I know about cookie jars is that some people out there are cookie jar collectors. They're cookie jar enthusiasts. I don't know what that's all about. I I feel like I was telling my friend about this the other day, like, the world's a pretty big place, and I guess there's a collector for everything, and the only like I said, the only thing I know about cookie jars is that there's a market out there, for cookie jar enthusiasts, and I know what this lady was probably thinking the same thing when she saw the table of cookie jars. That and I was when I saw her and I saw her have her phone out and she had, like, a bunch of cookie jars in her hand, I was thinking to myself, "This lady just wants to sell these cookie jars," and I was like I'm trying to shadow her too. I'm like, What's going on? What's going on with these cookie jars?" And then I think everyone there started noticing the cookie jars, and, this is the part where I find funny about collectibles, is that, let's take the Charizard card, right? It's worth, like, I don't know, the holographic Charizard card. It's worth, like, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I don't even know what it's up to now. Um, but it's only valuable because someone tells you that it's valuable, so then everyone knows it's valuable, so everyone knows to look out for it, right? So everyone knows, I guess that everyone was there, knows that the cookie jars are valuable because someone told them cookie jars can be valuable. So everyone was literally like taking their phone out and trying to lens the cookie jars, and they're all priced very similarly around like $10 each. And then I'm like just trying to just observe and see what cookie jars is she getting for, she's going for. She's trying real hard, cookie jarring it up. But then I saw one, uh, and the estate people had it listed. Like I said, all the cookie jars are $10 each, and they were like funky, funky cookie jars. But there's one that was $65. It was like a French pastry chef guy, and right, that's the look of the cookie jar. It was $65. It was way more than all the other cookie jars. So I was thinking to myself, this one must be really valuable because all the other cookie jars were $10 and this one they priced at 65. And so I'm like, these fools out here, they're all looking at the $10 cookie jars. None of them are valuable, right? Um, because at the end of the day, it's subjective. Right? None of these cookie jars, but look at this one. This one's $65. It must be valuable, right? It must be because all the other cookie jars are $10. This one was priced at $65, and it wasn't that much different than the other one. It was a French, like, nutcracker eating pastry chef guy. So I whip up my phone and I Google lens this bad boy, and it turns out this cookie jar was worth $22. So, now and then once I saw that, I was like I just skipped the whole cookie jar table because I was, like, thinking to myself that, nobody knows sorry. Nobody knows anything, and everything is worth nothing. So I skipped the whole cookie jar table. But I know that there's treasure there, though. If you actually spend the time, I guess, to Google search everything, it's definitely there was definitely something there. If you're willing to Google search, Google Lens every other thing that was there. But everything was pretty well priced. I guess my point is that, as things are going down and, on the radio or on the news today, they kept talking about iPhones, like, the iPhone's supposedly gonna be $3,500 if they come to the US, right, for a new one. And I was just thinking to myself, and I mean, everyone knows this, the iPhones itself is not that much different from year to year to year to year. So maybe we just don't buy a new iPhone every year. I don't know. My phone's, like, probably 4 or 5 years old. The only difference that I know, and I know this is a thing that they built into the phone itself, is that the battery life is not as good as it used to be. That's the main thing that I have, noticed on my phone right now, is that the battery life is terrible. It's crazy, the first when I first got it, it lasted, like, 2 days, which is amazing. Now it feels like it barely lasts a few hours. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's the only reason I would even buy a new phone is for the battery, hopefully it lasts longer. But I'm gonna leave this right now with, everyone out there in the world. I just want you to write in and say, do you feel like prices are actually really, really going up because they're going up? Or do you feel like these are just companies trying to gouge extra dollars out of you and saying that the prices are going up? All right. See you guys later. Thanks for spending time with me.